Hello Snampi and welcome to our English news edition brought to you live by RTD channel. Here are the top stories. The head of state returned to the country after attending to the Kigali summit. The medical team in As'ela. That was the headlines, and now to the national news. The President of the Republic is back this afternoon to the capital after having attended to a summit entitled Smart Africa in Kigali. This summit aims to put the projector on the valuable assistance that the development and democratization of the tech can make to the development of the Black continent. It also sounded the knell of the need for Africa to begin a new phase of its economic take-off after that largely succeeded to acquire the infrastructure essential to its development. Djibouti is part of a small circle of African nations invited to take part in this summit. And the Alliance Smart Africa as a regional organization was born in 2013 during the Transform Africa Summit, which was held in Kigali in Rwanda. Our colleague Saada Mohammed said the point to this summit that was held in Kigali, the country's members of the platform Smart Africa remain convinced that the economic and social development of the countries also pass through the development of technologies of information and communication technologies, and that no state can individually build infrastructure worsening the matter. The objective of these countries, which constitute the Alliance Smart Africa, is to connect all the sub-Saharan Africa to the network internet. This summit aims to put the projector on the valuable assistance that development and democratization of the technologies of information and also communication can make to the development of the Black continent. It also sounded the knell of the need for Africa to begin a new phase of its economic take-off after that largely succeeded to acquire the infrastructure essential to its development. Djibouti is part of a small circle of African nations invited to take part in this summit. And with this summit, our country is undeniably material to sharpen his inspiration on the ways and means to extend the use of interconnection to the greatest number of our compatriots. The mastery of the technologies of information and communication integrate the strength and prerequisite which our country must have upstream in order to access an attractive environment and highly favorable to the influx of foreign investment that requires in part the development of Djibouti. A large delegation, including the Minister of Communication responsible for Post and Telecommunication, Mr. Abdi Yusuf Suge, accompanied the President of the Republic in the framework of this displacement in Rwanda. Also, it must be noted that was the presence of the Ambassador of Djibouti, Ethiopia and Rwanda, Mr. Mohammed Idris Farah, within the delegation led by the President Gille. And now the President of the Republic in its intervention has not failed to greet the effort by his Rwandan counterpart to strengthen bilateral cooperation between the two countries. He said, "I would like to first of all thank the President Paul Kagame for having had this initiative to put in place this great and significant forum of Smart Africa, to have reflected on the continental plan in order not to miss the digital revolution, and for this we have understood that there had to be a shoring of the responsibility of our presence here today with you and justify that. We have a lot of opportunity," he said, the President continued, in relation to other countries, brothers and friends, because we have an optical fiber, a cable of connectivity compared to other countries. And as you know, the digital revolution has almost reached its climax, and for this the Africa must be able to go on and accompany this digital revolution. And after in the 5 heads place in turn of the localities of the 5 regions, as usual the mini medical team began yesterday in the region of Dekhel to As'ela. An important delegation led by the Minister of Health, His Excellency Dr. Jama Al-Miouki, composed of the Minister of the Environment, His Excellency Mr. Musa Mohammed Ahmed, the Prefect of the region Mohammed Sheikhoud, the Vice President of the Regional Council, Mr. Mohammed, and also the local elected members of the region and its close collaborators. Once their arrival to the place, they were welcomed by a population of this locality, coming mass, old, young, and less young, acclaimed the delegation. A ceremony which, rich in color of folk dance and song, were on the menu of this day. As well of young native of the region have made a demonstration of Dakaitoru, which has impressed the delegation. And subsequently, the Minister of Health has conducted the donation of an important batch of equipment of medicine, mosquito nets impregnated intended for pregnant women and also children under 5 years of age, the product of nutritious for children, but also significant quantity of the food aid to the most vulnerable families. Finally, the ceremony was closed by a visit guide of the Minister of Health and his delegation to the various medical consultation offered during this day to know the general medicine, also pneumology, gynecology and ophthalmology, pediatrics, and also finally the consultation of children in need. The Minister of Health and his colleague of the Environment have had a meeting with the most respected and listened person, as well as a meeting with representatives of the Association of Women of As'ela. At this meeting, the two ministers and the administrative officials have listened to the various grievances of Okal and also the women. The Minister of Health has conducted after that the donation of an important batch of equipment and also the medicine mosquito net impregnated intended for pregnant women and also children under 5 years of age, the product of nutrition for children, but also a significant quantity of the food aid to the most vulnerable family. And the Minister of Health and his colleague of the Environment have had a meeting, of course, with the most respected and listened person in the region and also of the Association of Women in the region of As'ela. On his side, of course, at this meeting, the two ministers and the administrative officials have listened to the various grievances of Okalan women, and also on his side, the Minister of Health promised to provide answers to the needs of its interlocutors at the earliest possible date and also in the shortest possible time. At the end of the meeting, the Okal have now felt to warmly thank the Minister of Health, who cares about the health of its citizens. And now the Minister of Energy responsible for natural resources, Mr. Yunus Ali Gedi, has received today in his cabinet the Ambassador of Turkey to Djibouti. The discussion between the two parties have focused on particular on the excellence of the diplomatic relation between Ankara and also Djibouti. The Minister of Energy responsible for natural resources and its host have also mentioned in this interview the voices and ways to further strengthen cooperation between the two countries, in particular in the area of energy and natural resources. On this subject, the Turkish diplomat has reaffirmed the willingness of his country to develop especially a real economic partnership with Djibouti to the extent of the accentuation of the effort undertaken in the energy sector. The maintenance between the Minister of Energy responsible for natural resources, Mr. Yunus Gedi Ali, and the Ambassador of Turkey in Djibouti is held in the presence of Acting Secretary General of the Staff of the Department. Still on the national news, in the margin of 17th General Assembly of the ANOCA, the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, His Excellency Mr. Hassan Mohamed Kamel, has received this morning in his cabinet the President of the Confederation of African Football, Mr. Issa Hayatou, accompanied by Ms. Fardousa Moussa, Vice President of the National Olympic of Djibouti, in the presence of his technical advisor, Ms. Medina Salah. Mr. Hayatou has thanked the Secretary of State, and also for having kindly received, and that was also a pleasure for him to return to Djibouti since it was in its first visit. The Secretary of State said that he was delighted to this meeting the responsibility of the promotion and also the development of youth in its obligation. The two officials then referred to their roots of sportsmen and also more particularly the footballer, as well as their project for the development of football. And now, after 2 days of reflection, sharing and vote, the time was at the pleasure and relaxation yesterday evening at the Kaspersky Palace Hotel at the closing of the 17th session of the General Assembly of the UNOCA. A gala dinner was offered to the various guests and members of the Association of National Olympic Committee of Africa who have given themselves the pleasure of enjoying the dishes and the Djiboutian music in a ventilated space of the hotel. The evening was marked by the presence of several Olympic important personalities such as the UNOCA President, General Palenfo, as well as several senior members of the Olympic institution in Africa. The Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, His Excellency Hassan Mohamed Kamel, on the side of Djibouti, was present also for the evening. The atmosphere was warm and also fraternal. The national singers of different groups have vibrated the scene, and to the outcome of dinner, the Association of National Olympic Committee of Africa President Mr. Palenfo thanked the National Olympic Committee and Sport of Djibouti by presenting them with gifts and also the trophies.
Ministre des Sports de la Côte d'Ivoire. Merci.
That's it for tonight's edition. Thanks for watching us and have a wonderful evening.